On Christmas Day, my daughter opened her present and turned pale. 5 minutes later, we were in the car, driving away. She didn't scream. Didn't even move. The box was red. Shiny. Perfectly square. No tag, no handwriting, no hint of who had placed it under the tree. But there it was, glowing like it knew it didn't belong. Maisie sat in front of it, legs crossed in her snowflake pajamas, smiling like any 8-year-old on Christmas morning. I didn't even notice the box until she started peeling back the ribbon, her fingers suddenly hesitant, slow. Then she opened it. And went completely still. I saw it from across the room. I was mid-laugh, holding a paper plate full of overcooked turkey and stuffing, when I caught the shift in her face. The smile vanished, her lips parted, and her eyes locked on whatever was inside that box. "Maisie?" I set down the plate. "What is it?" No response. I moved toward her. The room was loud. Someone turned up the music. Megan was yelling about her new espresso machine. Wrapping paper was flying everywhere. No one else noticed my daughter's silence. But I did. I dropped to my knees beside her. She didn't look at me. She whispered, "It's Theo's." My breath caught. I looked inside the box. It was a stuffed elephant. Old. Ragged. One ear missing. One button eye. A faded tag with a barely visible T scrawled in Sharpie. My son's. Theo's favorite toy. The one he carried everywhere since he was 3. The one he had in his arms the day he disappeared 6 months ago. The one the police never found. I stared at it, unable to breathe. The room behind us blurred, became white noise. My mother's voice, the smell of peppermint candles, laughter, none of it reached me. Only this impossible toy. Maisie turned to me, eyes filled with something older than fear. "I didn't see it before," she said. "It wasn't under the tree earlier." "I know," I whispered. I looked. And I'd arranged every gift under that tree with my own hands. Counted them. Labeled them. This box was not there. Someone had placed it later. Quietly. Deliberately. Someone who knew exactly what it was. And who it would reach. I scooped up the box with one hand and Maisie with the other. I forced my voice to sound casual. "We're just getting something from the car." No one looked. No one cared. Outside, snow had started to fall. Light, steady, silent. I buckled Maisie into the back seat, slid in beside her, and locked the doors. Maisie held her arms tight around herself. "It still smells like him." And she was right. I didn't have to bring it to my nose. I knew that smell, warmth, grass, something uniquely Theo. I gripped the wheel. That toy didn't come back on its own. It had been sent. The silence inside the car was thicker than the snow outside. Maisie stared out the window, her breath fogging up the glass. She hadn't let go of the stuffed elephant. I didn't ask her to. I couldn't. The streetlights blurred past us in streaks. My hands gripped the wheel so tightly they hurt. I didn't know where I was driving, I just knew I had to keep moving. What if he's still here? Maisie whispered suddenly. I glanced at her in the mirror. "What do you mean?" She didn't look at me. What if Theo never left? What if someone took him and now they're sending things? I didn't respond. I didn't know how. My mind was still trying to process what had just happened. 6 months. 6 months of silence, vigils, detectives, search parties, and then, on Christmas morning, this. A gift from nowhere. From someone. But who? I retraced the morning in my head. My mom had been up early baking, of course. Megan arrived late, as always, and distracted everyone with her perfect hair and staged selfies. Dad was his usual distant self. My aunt and uncle hadn't even come. But no one had looked suspicious. Then again, would they? What kind of person could slip something so terrible under a tree, surrounded by family and children, and act like nothing had happened? Maisie spoke again, barely a whisper. "Do you think someone's trying to hurt us?" The question chilled me. It hadn't crossed my mind until then, but now that it had, I couldn't unthink it. What if this wasn't a message of hope, but a warning? A cruel reminder? A threat? I pulled into a gas station and parked beneath a flickering light. The snow had started to stick. The roads would be a mess soon. We couldn't just drive in circles forever. Maisie looked exhausted. I turned off the engine. We're going to sit here for a bit, okay? Just us. She nodded. I stared at the toy in her lap. The elephant looked smaller than I remembered. Shabbier. But undeniably Theo's. That part wasn't up for debate. What was the how. How had it gotten there? Who would do this? And the question that haunted me most, why now? Christmas wasn't just a coincidence. It was chosen. Deliberate. It was a time when the family gathered, when emotions were already stretched thin, when a single strange act could fracture everything. Someone wanted us broken. I unlocked my phone. Scrolled through the family group chat. Photos from this morning. Megan's video of the tree. My mother's text about cinnamon rolls. Everything looked normal. But in one video, a slow pan of the living room, I paused. There, behind a pile of presents, was a brief glimpse of the red box. Before Maisie opened it. Before anyone called it out. It was already there. I paused the video. And saw something else. A hand. Not Maisie's. Reaching for the box. Placing it. Then vanishing from frame. I stared at the paused video on my phone. My thumb hovered over the screen, heart pounding in my chest. That hand. It had slid the red box into place like it belonged. A smooth, practiced motion, not clumsy, not hesitant. Someone had meant to leave it there. But who? I dragged the video back 3 seconds and replayed the moment. Slowed it down. Paused again. Zoomed in. The hand wore a dark red sleeve. Thin wrist. No rings. Nails short and clean. Megan. It was Megan's sweater. I'd seen her wear it that morning, the one she always said was Christmas-colored, but not ugly. She'd made a whole post about it on Instagram last week. I sat frozen in the driver's seat, watching my sister's hand disappear off-screen again and again. The chill inside the car deepened, but it wasn't from the weather. Maisie looked over. What is it? I turned the screen toward her. She frowned. That's Aunt Megan's sweater. So it wasn't just me. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My thoughts were crashing into each other, logic colliding with emotion. Why would Megan do this? She loved Theo. Or pretended to. She showed up at every search party with her perfect hair and sad eyes. She cried the loudest at the vigil. She even posted a photo of his empty bedroom once, to raise awareness. It got over 12,000 likes. I swallowed hard. Maisie whispered, "Are we going back there?" I shook my head. Not yet. Not until I understood. I tapped on Megan's profile. She'd posted a Christmas selfie that morning. Red sweater. Big grin. The caption read, "Family time. The only time I get to pretend I'm normal winking face Christmas tree." But 20 minutes after that post, she slipped a ghost into our holiday. I should have confronted her. Called. Texted. Sent the video with all caps and question marks. But something stopped me. I needed more than a guess. I needed to know why. What would make someone do something so cruel? So twisted? I opened the group chat again. Scrolled back. Then I saw it. A photo from last week. My mom's birthday dinner. Everyone was there, Megan, Dad, my aunt. Theo's seat at the table was empty. But his name card was still there. My mom couldn't bear to throw it away. I tapped on the photo. And I saw it. In the background. That same red box. On the hallway table. Behind Megan. Barely visible. Out of place. It had been there before. Maisie leaned closer. What are you looking at? I pointed. This. That box. It was already in the house. Her eyes widened. So she didn't just bring it this morning? No, I whispered. She's had it. For days. And suddenly, my mouth went dry. Because if Megan had the toy before Christmas, that meant she'd been hiding it. That meant she knew. And that meant someone had been lying this whole time. Not just to me. To all of us. I didn't sleep that night. Maisie finally dozed off in the motel bed, still clutching the elephant. I sat in the chair by the window, staring at my phone. The video paused on Megan's hand. What was she doing? Why wait 6 months, then leave Theo's toy like that wrapped, hidden, timed to hit exactly when we'd all be together? This wasn't a careless mistake. It was orchestrated. Around 3 a.m., I opened a new message thread. Typed her name. My thumb hovered over the screen for 5 minutes before I finally sent it. Me, I know you placed the box. We need to talk. Three dots appeared, then vanished. I waited. No reply. I stared out the window at the empty parking lot. A snowplow passed in the distance, scraping against silence. Then my phone buzzed. Megan, you need to drop this. Seriously. No emojis. No sarcasm. No denial. Just those 6 words, cold, direct, out of character. I typed back. Me? Where did you get it? Another pause. Then, Megan, you're not ready for that answer. I felt something twist in my stomach. Not ready? What did that mean? Maisie stirred in bed. I turned toward her. The room felt colder somehow, though the heater hummed steadily. My phone buzzed again. Megan, you need to come back before Mom starts asking questions. Say Maisie got sick. Say you panicked. I stared at the message. The way she tried to control the narrative so easily. So practiced. Like she'd done it before. Me? What do you know about Theo? She didn't respond. Instead, a minute later, my phone buzzed again, but not a message. A photo. No caption. It was blurry, taken from outside. Maisie and I, through the motel room window. From tonight. My breath caught in my throat. I jumped from the chair and yanked the curtain shut. My hands were ice. Someone had been here. Watching us. Maisie sat up in bed, rubbing her eyes. Mom? It's okay, I said too quickly. Go back to sleep. But I knew nothing was okay. Because now it wasn't just about a toy. It wasn't just about Megan. It was about control. Someone was keeping tabs on us. Someone didn't like that I was asking questions. And someone was making sure I knew. I paced the room, phone clutched in my hand. Should I call the police? Report the photo? But what would I even say? Hi, my son disappeared 6 months ago, and now my sister may have planted his toy under the tree, and also someone sent me a photo of myself through a motel window? They'd write me off. Again. Just like they did when Theo first vanished, telling me maybe he ran away, maybe he got lost. Maybe I just wasn't watching him close enough. No. This time, I wasn't going to be silenced. I needed proof. And the only place I'd find it was back home. By the time we got back to my parents' house, the snow had stopped, but the silence inside was heavier than ever. The front door opened before I knocked. Mom stood there, arms crossed, worry masked behind her, everything is fine smile. There you are. We were getting worried. I told you Maisie wasn't feeling well, I said. She reached for Maisie, who clung tighter to my coat. She okay now? Getting there. My eyes scanned the hallway, same garland, same twinkling lights. Nothing looked out of place. But everything felt off. As we stepped inside, Megan appeared at the top of the stairs. Still in the red sweater. She met my eyes. No smile. No warmth. No guilt. Hey, she said flatly. Hey, I replied, matching her tone. We both knew what this was, a performance. For everyone else in the house. And for now, I'd play my part. I took Maisie upstairs and told her to lie down in the guest room. She nodded quietly, the elephant still in her arms like a lifeline. I won't be long, I whispered, brushing hair from her forehead. Then I shut the door and headed to Theo's room. They hadn't changed it. Not since June. The bed was still unmade, the closet slightly ajar, a drawing taped crookedly to the wall, 2 stick figures holding hands, one labeled T, the other M. I closed the door behind me, breathed in the faint scent of childhood, paper, plastic, a whiff of crayon and dust. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Maybe confirmation. Maybe contradiction. Something to tell me that Megan had lied or hadn't. The red box still sat in my bag. I hadn't dared leave it in the car. I placed it gently on Theo's bed and opened it once more. Same toy. Same worn fabric. Same scar on its ear. I flipped it over, ran my fingers along the seams. Then I noticed it. A small bulge beneath the stitching of the elephant's back leg. Almost invisible. But there. Something was inside. I hesitated. Then grabbed a nail file from Theo's old art kit and carefully worked the seam open. Inside was a slip of paper. Folded. Tightly. Stuffed deep into the stuffing. My hands shook as I opened it. For words. Written in Theo's handwriting. Not who you think. My mouth went dry. I read it again. Then again. Not who you think. Was he talking about who took him? Was he alive when he wrote it? When was this even hidden? I sat on the bed, the note trembling in my hands. A knock jolted me upright. The door opened slightly. Megan. Mom wants to know if you're coming down for dessert, she said. Then her eyes flicked to the bed. To the toy. To the note in my hand. I quickly folded it. She stared at me for a moment. And for the first time, I saw it. Fear. In her eyes. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. I just stared at Megan as she lingered in the doorway, eyes darting between the elephant and my face. I'd hidden the note, but I could tell she knew I had found something. She didn't speak. Just gave a tight, fake smile and turned back toward the stairs. I sat frozen for a full minute after she left, replaying that look, the flicker of fear. It wasn't guilt. It was something else. She's not in control anymore. I tucked the note into my jeans pocket and zipped the elephant back up. My hands were trembling, but I moved with purpose. I needed to talk to someone who knew Theo best, besides me. I found Dad in the garage, as always. He stood by the tool bench, pretending to organize wrenches he hadn't touched in years. He looked up. Hey. I stepped closer. I need to ask you something. He sighed. If this is about Megan. It's not. He blinked. Waited. Do you remember Theo hiding notes in his toys? I asked. A pause. Like little maps? Secret messages? Sure. He used to think he was a spy. Do you remember him hiding something in his elephant? Dad furrowed his brow. I think once he tried to put a Lego in there, and I had to sew it shut. I swallowed. What about after he disappeared? Did you ever find anything? Any clue? No. His voice was firm. Too firm. Because I just found something. A note. Inside the elephant. Written in his handwriting. He stiffened. I watched his jaw tighten. His eyes didn't meet mine. Dad, I pressed. Why didn't you mention this before? He picked up a screwdriver and turned it over in his hand. Because I didn't know. And I'm not sure what you're hoping to find now. His tone cut through me. I'm hoping to find my son. He finally looked at me. We all are. But the way he said it, it felt rehearsed. Something clicked. A memory I hadn't thought about in months. 2 weeks after Theo disappeared, Dad had taken a business trip to a town 4 hours away, the same day the police expanded their search perimeter. He came back pale. Silent. When I asked where he'd gone, he mumbled something about contracts. Never mentioned it again. Did you find anything then? I asked, my voice lower. His eyes narrowed. What are you implying? I'm not sure yet. But if you know something, anything, you need to tell me. I don't, he snapped. I don't know anything. But his hands were shaking. Just like mine had when I read that note. I left the garage, heart pounding. Back inside, Megan was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing was wrong. My mother was wiping the kitchen counter over and over, though it was already clean. And Maisie stood at the top of the stairs, holding something. A second note. I found it in the toy's ear, she said quietly. She held it out to me. Same handwriting. 3 words this time. Look beneath him. Look beneath him. I read the words again. My fingers clenched around the note as my thoughts raced. Beneath who? Theo? The toy? Maisie stood silently, eyes wide, still clutching the elephant. I took it from her gently, turned it over in my hands again. Checked every seam, every pocket of stuffing. Nothing else. But the message had been clear. Look beneath him. I sat on the floor, spreading the toy on my lap. Beneath. Under. Below. And then it hit me. Theo's bed. I ran upstairs to his room. The elephant in one hand, the note in the other. Maisie followed quietly behind me. His bed hadn't been touched in months. Still rumpled. Still sunken where he last lay. I dropped to my knees and lifted the edge of the frame skirt. Dust. A sock. A broken crayon. Nothing unusual. But when I reached deeper, my hand struck something solid. A box. Small. Wooden. Light. I pulled it out slowly, heart hammering. It was smooth, carved with stars and clouds. A tiny latch held it shut. Maisie stood behind me, silent as a shadow. I opened the box. Inside was a flash drive. Just that. No note. No label. Just a sleek, black USB stick resting on a scrap of navy blue cloth, a piece of Theo's favorite hoodie. I swallowed hard. Downstairs, the house was still, the hum of the dishwasher, muffled chatter, a fork clinking. But in this moment, I felt miles away. I turned to Maisie. Stay here. She didn't argue. I slipped into Dad's office, the only room with a working desktop. Closed the door quietly, locked it. Plugged the flash drive in. It took a second to load. Then a single folder appeared. Watch me. I clicked it open. One video file. I hovered my mouse, my breath shallow. Then I clicked. The footage began with static. Then a room, dimly lit, unfamiliar. A child's voice shaky. Is it on? Theo. I clapped a hand over my mouth. There he was. Thin. Pale. Sitting on a mattress on the floor. His hoodie hung off his shoulders. His eyes darted to the door behind him. He leaned close to the camera. If you're seeing this, he whispered, then I'm not back yet. I froze. I don't know how long I'll be here, he continued, but I had to leave something behind. Because if I say it out loud, they'll hear me. They always hear me. My skin crawled. They say I'm safe. But I'm not. They tell me I can't go home. That I'd ruin everything. His voice cracked. I think they're watching you too. Mom. If you're seeing this, don't trust. The screen glitched. Cut to black. Then a final frame. Still image. Of a hallway. Our hallway. From the upstairs landing. Shot from high up, like a hidden camera. The door opened in the frame. And Megan stepped through it. The screen froze on Megan's face. Her expression was blank. Controlled. She didn't know she was being recorded. Didn't know someone Theo had captured her. I yanked the flash drive out of the computer and stared at it like it might burn through my palm. How long had this camera been hidden? And more importantly, who had helped him record it? I stepped out of the office, my knees barely supporting me. The house was too quiet now. The kind of quiet that made the walls feel like they were listening. Megan stood in the kitchen, talking to my mother. Their voices stopped the second I entered. As if they'd been mid-sentence about me. Everything okay? Mom asked too quickly. I held the flash drive in my fist. Where's Dad? Garage, I think, she said, eyes flicking toward my hand. Why? I didn't answer. I went back upstairs, found Maisie still sitting on Theo's bed, arms wrapped around her knees. I sat beside her and whispered, I found something. A video. Her eyes widened. Was it him? I nodded. She didn't smile. Just whispered, I knew he was still trying. Then she pulled something from under the pillow. A notebook. Theo's. Found this too, she said. He hid it under the mattress. I opened it. Most pages were blank, but on the inside cover, he'd drawn something, a tree, with names etched into the trunk. Our family. Mom, Dad, Megan, and me. But one branch was crossed out with red ink. Dad. And beneath it, he lied first. My chest tightened. Megan had placed the toy. But Dad, what did he do? What had he started? I stood, clutching both the notebook and flash drive, and headed to the garage. He was there, of course. Pretending to organize. He looked up. Everything okay? I held out the drive. You know what this is? He stared at it. Said nothing. I saw the video, I added. All of it. Still, no response. Just a subtle shift in his jaw. A muscle twitching. He knew, I said softly. About you. About her. He sighed then. Set down the wrench. I didn't think he'd find the camera. My heart stopped. So he had known. You helped them. No, he said, too fast. I helped you. You think you'd survive knowing the whole truth? You think Maisie would. What truth? He turned away. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. He was supposed to be safe. Just hidden for a while. Long enough for things to adjust. Adjust? I choked. He was 8. It wasn't my idea, he whispered. I stepped back. I agreed, he continued. I didn't think Megan would take it that far. You let her take him. He didn't deny it. I thought we were protecting you, he said. I stared at him. From what? He looked at me. And for the first time, I saw shame. I think you already know. I didn't sleep that night. Not after what Dad said. Not after realizing how deep this web went. Theo hadn't just disappeared. He'd been removed. By people who were supposed to protect him. And for what? I sat on the edge of the bed in the guest room, the flash drive in my lap, the notebook beside me. Maisie lay curled under the covers, finally asleep. But I couldn't stop replaying Dad's last words. I think you already know. What did I know? I thought back. Way back. To Theo's questions. His outbursts. His drawings. The way he'd stopped sleeping near the end. How he flinched when certain people touched him. How he once whispered, "Don't leave me alone with them." And I hadn't listened. I had missed it. Or worse, ignored it. Because believing something horrible about someone you love, someone you're told to trust, is a kind of self-betrayal. And now I couldn't unknow it. In the morning, I made a decision. We were leaving. For good. No more half-truths. No more smiles hiding secrets. I packed quickly. Woke Maisie gently. "We're going?" she asked. I nodded. Home. Real home. Somewhere safe. She didn't argue. As we stepped into the hallway, I saw Megan standing at the bottom of the stairs, arms folded. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes. "You found it all," she said quietly. I didn't answer. "You think I'm the villain here," she added. "But I didn't take him. I kept him." I stopped. "What does that mean?" She swallowed. "I found out. About what Dad did. About what Theo knew. And I knew if the police got involved, they'd bury it. So I moved him." "Moved him?" I whispered. "Where?" "Somewhere safe. Someone helped me, someone you don't know. He's alive. And he's waiting." I couldn't breathe. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Because you wouldn't have believed me. Not then. And I couldn't risk him being dragged back here. Back to this house. To them." Tears blurred my vision. "Where is he?" She stepped closer. "I'll take you. Both of you. But once you go, you don't come back. None of us do." I looked down at Maisie, her small hand gripping mine. And I knew. There was no going back. Not to family dinners. Not to birthday candles and backyard barbecues. Not to pretending. I nodded. And that afternoon, we left the house one final time. No goodbye. No explanations. Just a mother, her daughter, and the hope of seeing her son again.